You mentioned that at the start of the hardcourt run, even in the first week of the US Open, the matches were tougher, even though the scoreline probably does not suggest that. What was that click turning point, if you will, of oh, we can go ahead and actually make something of this?
Every match had its twists and turns. I feel the first two matches were we were sort of more on the expected lines. They were expected to win, so to be able to handle that and not let that pressure get to us. Whereas I think from the third and onward, you're always playing someone a better team. So I think the little bit of a turning point for me was being able to beat the German pair who were finalists at the US Open last year. Lost to them twice. We lost to Wimbledon before, so to be able to do that and quite convincingly as well, I felt so it gave me a lot.
The last time you both paired together was, I think, the 2014 Australian Open. And now here,
Yes.
what has changed between for both of you in that period? I mean, it's a huge time period. You've given up on the singles. He's established as a doubles player, but in terms of the style of playing, in terms of personality, how different are you both now?
I think if anyone would have told us you would be back here 11 years later playing in Grand Slam again, we both would have just laughed. I think we probably both have thought we would have hung up our rackets by then and would probably just be enjoying life.
Yuki, let me just start off very simply by asking about the US Open run, the semi-final run, your deepest at a Grand Slam in doubles. What does this result mean to you personally in the grand scheme of things in terms of your career? How do you see it?
I always said and always believed that to move up the rankings, or for me to really move up the rankings, Grand Slam results are what really have been missing. And I feel I've been fairly consistent this year with that, which is obviously also catapulted me up the ranking chart. But these are the four slams is what every tennis player where they want to be, where they want to do well. Where records are written and histories are made. So uh, obviously a nice feeling to having finally made a semi-final run. That's the highest that I've really ever been. To do it with a friend is even sweeter. But also said this many times, a little bit bittersweet because you also had opportunities to make the finals and missed out on that. Give a big boost to the confidence levels, knowing that hey, I'm on the right track, I'm doing the right things, and I have the level to be able to succeed and play with some of the top players in the world.
You mentioned that it's a huge confidence booster for you. Does that mean that there was some sort of hiccup or some sort of question marks about yourself at some point in the last couple of years?
Always question marks, not really hiccups, but you want to. I don't think I would, I would ever be satisfied unless I do the best I can, and I know that there's more to come from me. And when I've been playing, I know if I'm 40 in the world or 30 in the world, there are 30 other players who are better than me. So you want to try and be the best. And this was a bit of new, uncharted territory and new ground for me. I had never made a semi-finals before. There have been sporadic wins of beating some of the top players, but to do it never really happened at the topmost level. So a lot of this is just new for me to being able to play the Masters Series for the first time, winning Dubai, being in semi-finals of the US Open. So a lot of hard work that goes on, but really the confidence only comes from when you're able to execute that and turn those work that you've done on the practice score into a match situation. So a lot of things. That's why I said sort of it clicked and it boosts your confidence in knowing that hey, this all this work that you're doing is worth it, and if you carry on, then sky's the limit.
Do you recall any moment during this run over the course of 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, sort of stuff, which stands out for you, which is something that you will cherish forever?
I think just match by match, I really feel that we handled the pressure quite well. There were a lot of matches which were quite nerve-wracking, and we really never buckled under the pressure. And that's really what it takes to be able to perform at the stage. You reach a certain level where everyone knows everybody's game. There are really no secrets, and it's about really who can be calm and execute in those big moments. So I think me and Michael both were really able to do that, and that's where we ended up in a semi-final run. So I think that's something that both of us can be very proud of, and also shows us the level that we can play at.
You mentioned that at the start of the hard court run, even at this in the first week of the US Open, the matches were tougher, even though the scoreline probably does not suggest that. What was that click, that turning point, if you will, of that, oh, we can go ahead and actually make something of this?
Every match had its twists and turns. I feel the first two matches where we were sort of more on the expected lines or expected to win, so to be able to handle that and not let that pressure get to us. Whereas I think from the third and onward, you're always playing someone a better team. So I think that a little bit of a turning point for me was being able to beat the German pair who were finalists at the US Open last year. Lost to them twice. We lost them Wimbledon before, so to be able to do that and quite convincingly as well, I felt so it gave me a lot confidence going into the rest of the matches. So definitely that third round and breaking that barrier as well of being there in the third round three times before to making a quarterfinal and then obviously moving on to a semi.
I'll also come to now. I'll come to the huge aspect I feel was in partnering with Michael. You've been friends for more than a decade, 15 odd years. How did that come about? What was that sort of discussion of working together now at this point?
We've always had conversation, but I think just the timing never really matched. When we really first played doubles, I was still playing quite a lot of singles and breaking onto scene. He moved on to doubles quite early and has had great success over the last 6-7 years. I was still at that time playing singles. By the time I sort of broke into a doubles scene and started really full time concentrating playing doubles, he was already quite established. So this was really the first opportunity we had of really playing together. We spoke quite briefly end of last year as well, but again, a lot of us, even though you want to play together, all of our decisions are so much based on rankings because that's what allows you to play a proper schedule. Everyone wants to play the Grand Slams, everyone wants to play the Masters Series, the top eight finals, but you have to be higher ranked and a certain ranking for that. So even though if you want to play with another person, the rankings aren't good enough, you don't get to. And this was really the opportunity. First time we really had an opportunity where everything sort of clicked, where he was looking for a partner, I was looking for a partner, and we sort of, and the rankings were quite similar. It allowed us to play a proper schedule, which is how we then were able to get together and play.
The last time you both paired together was, I think, the 2014 Australian Open. And now here,
Yes.
what has changed between for both of you in that period? I mean, it's a huge time period. You've completely given up on the singles. He's established as a doubles player, but in terms of the style of playing, in terms of personality, how different are you both now?
So much. I think if anyone would have told us you would be back here 11 years later playing at a Grand Slam again, we both would have just laughed. I think we probably both have thought we would have hung up our rackets by then and would probably just be enjoying life. Quite different, right? 11 years is a lot of time. Different, I think, different people altogether. I was 2021 at that time, just coming onto the tour, trying to make a mark on the tour. Same for him as well. A lot of uncharted. I remember, I think we lost to Leander and Radek Stepnik that year. For him, it was a big boost in terms of moving towards doubles that he had already decided then, and coming into a third round in Australia. That sort of started his career. For me, it was just a step in the right direction of being able to play at that stage. I'd never really, at that point of time, ever really played a main draw for slam before. Still finding my mark in singles, so very different now. This is, we've come back a lot more experienced. He's more towards the end of his career than on, and for me, a start of a completely different journey in terms of doubles. So I sort of I joke about him. I started your doubles career, and I want to be there when you end yours. So that would be, would have a nice touch to it.
To form that collaborative effort with someone midway after a Vaswing is probably not the easiest. How does that work?
No, it takes a few weeks to really gel. So that's always the downside of it is you're almost all the time in a way conceding some of those events. You hope that you can do well and everything that you sort of win is a bonus, but to understand how each other operate in a tennis court, how we go about things, what are the likes, dislikes, what are the preferences and style of play. I think a lot of that just takes a little bit of time to understand, and that's why it's we try and build a partnership. That's why everyone sort of tries and builds a partnership from the beginning, because if you are in sync, a lot of times it just makes it easier and makes it automatic going on a court. Whereas when you don't know what side the. And if you would go back to our first match in Washington, there were so many balls going through the middle of the court, not knowing who's hitting this ball, who's going for that ball. We were running all over the court, both running for overheads, both taking volleys. So it was chaotic, because you're just not sure of what the other person is expecting or want, and that's why you try and build a long-term partnership where you can give those few weeks in to understand each other, and then know that you can build on from there.
I've come to sort of want to understand, do you still think with a singles mindset sometimes? I mean, you put in, even in the formative years, all of us put in, go with the thought of playing singles, and then you had a decent singles career, which was hampered by injury. So, do you still have that singles mindset even when you're playing doubles?
Tennis, right? You're still hitting forehands and backhands and serve and returns. That um, doesn't change no matter what format you're playing. It's just
Mm,
that the skill set in terms and what is utilized in singles and doubles are different. I like to compare it to a test cricket and a T20. Really, I think singles, you have to be a lot more patient. You wait for opportunities. You can defend your way out of trouble, bide your time, and then maybe attack. Whereas in doubles, there is no defense. It's
mm,
full on attack, 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 attack. Whoever gets the first opportunity takes it. It's 2-3 ball tennis. You're trying to you take more risks. You're serving a lot harder. You're hitting return winners. You're trying, finishing the points at the net as quickly as possible, because it's just there is no scope to defend. So it's almost I really like that analogy of playing T20 and Test cricket. So you're still playing tennis, but just in a different way, and you're working on different skills. So whereas in singles, where I probably did a lot more cross courts and down the line rallies and a long more time, and spend a lot more time on the baseline, working my
mm.
baseline game, whereas here you're spending a lot more time at the net and working on different patterns and where I can place my volley instead of where I can really place my ground strokes, because that's what you end up doing a lot more.
The reason that I ask is we saw that mixed doubles format at the US Open. A lot of controversy about it. A lot of singles player entered, and the doubles players didn't really get that attention that they deserve, I guess. I mean, that's everyone's different perspective. But what is your perspective on that format and on how that was played out?
First things first, it wasn't that doubles wasn't given the thing, the doubles wasn't given the chance. The entry list was really made out to be where only singles players can enter. If you have
Mm,
a singles rank, then you enter. So obviously you have the Djokovic and Alcaraz and the Sinners entering, and it I'm guessing from a business point of view, it definitely brought in the crowds, which it would, because they're really the U.S. Open banked on people filling up stadiums, not to watch mixed doubles, but to watch a Djokovic, a Sinner, and Alcaraz play. Or on the women's side, to watch a Sabalenka play or Swiatek play, right? So, and of course, when you pair the best together, it makes for interesting story and intriguing story. So, brought a lot of success with that, but they also I guess took away a little bit from the mixed doubles, whereas turned out more into an exhibition, 4 games, and not tennis has always been about playing on merit. If you're good
mm,
enough, you get to play. But if you sort of close down the entries and not allow, regardless, a world number one doubles cannot enter on his ranking, even though it's a mixed doubles event, just because
yeah.
they've shut down. It's really an invitational singles event. So I just think that they took the merit away from being a Grand Slam champion and really made into a glorified exhibition. But time will tell if it continues or not. It's dependent on obviously the top players playing, and I'm not really sure. Inaugural year, everyone's quite excited, but I
Mm.
think down the line, I'm not really sure how much would some of these top players really want to go go out there and skip practice sessions and to go out sort of play mixed doubles events right before a Grand Slam, a couple of days before Grand Slam, and hamper their training.
Were you guys actually rallying for the Italian team at the US Open?
We all were. We really were. All our messages on the group chats that we sort of have with the doubles players, we were all really rallying for them. Right. It was the slap in the face for people who sort of play doubles and to not have that opportunity suddenly and have that snatched away to not play mixed doubles at a Grand Slam was taken away. So we're all really rallying for them. But end of the day, we have the conversations, but there's nothing really concrete that comes out of it because the decision when the press hears of it is when the players hear of it as well. It's just thrown down upon us and said this is what we're going to do and this is what is deal with it. So unless
Mm.
really you want things done, you probably need a players association and to start boycotting events, which is quite difficult to do until that change is really not going to come. If it is going to come in very very small doses.
That's all I had in mind, Yuki. Thank you so much for giving your
Great.
time.
Thanks.
Thank
See you
you.
again.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.